my career.
Sorry.
So I'm not sure how well you can see some of those photographs, but could someone just give me an indication if they can actually see that photo quite okay on the right there?
They look fine. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, there was a recording come up. So the Rotary Exchange program, great, absolute life experience. What I thought it was, a 15-year-old Australian kid from the country, I thought I was going over there for a bit of a holiday. I'd had some great mentoring by a few Rotarians before I left, but wow, what it was versus what I expected it to be. New cultures, new people. The United States was very much more advanced in a whole lot of things compared to what it was like here in Australia. And that's not dissimilar to what it still is today. But I guess from a young person, I had to get independent about what I was doing. I had met a lot of good people. I had a lot of great experiences. I had to grow up into a young man as opposed to being a boy anymore. And be able to talk quite confidently to people about what this country was like and things that I didn't really know a lot of information about in terms of history, politics, and other things along those sorts of lines. Some areas of improvement that absolutely I noticed on return from my trip over there for 12 months. And in no priority order, my social interaction improved out of sight. My academic performance, not that I was sort of a low academic achiever, but the things that I knew and the things that I'd learned and the ways that I'd learned were quite different to what we'd been back here. My mental resilience, and that was across a number of areas, whether it was at my friendship level, whether it was at my adult level, and certainly my physical ability, which was extremely noticeable. And again, that came down to a cultural change in schooling, physical education, and sport. So what did that mean? That meant that the way I approached life, I guess, but also the way I took the values in trust, friendship, and helping people out. I'll just share a bit with you. Between the age of 18 and 24, in a group of no more than 40, I would have lost nine friends, 9 close friends, either by just reckless accidents on motor vehicles, motorcycles, boating accidents, or at their own hand. That's a good 30 years ago, and maybe mental health and the way to deal with those situations wasn't as well known as it is today. That, whilst that affected me, it was quite significant on my close friends, and I was able to support those people based on life experiences, skills, inner focus that I'd been able to obtain when I was on the exchange program. At around the same time, or maybe a bit less, I joined the military. Why did I join the military? Because of my time in the United States. The military was a great opportunity to learn new skills, serve the country, learn teamwork, be disciplined, but most of all, serve and be proud to serve. again, 30 years ago, back in this country, the military was not recognised anywhere near as much as what it was in the United States. Days like Remembrance Day and Anzac Day were quite poorly represented. A lot of the veterans that had served in the Vietnam War were looked upon quite poorly. And so it was a difficult time in our military force. But why did I join? To serve and to serve my country. And that came out from the United States, in my experience. I went on, finished my degree, went off into a number of areas of the engineering field, mining, steel making, paper making, water plants, power generation, gas distribution. Why did I follow that path? Well, first and foremost, I kind of thought after my diploma, I'd like to be a pharmacist. Why did that come in my mind? Well, because of my exchange program. And my great friend, Dale Duskin, he had a great business. He had a great work ethic. I used to watch how all these people enjoyed what their business was. And I thought that would be a great career. However, a pharmacy entrance in this country, and especially in Melbourne, an extremely high score and very limited number of positions. So I took the opportunity to go into engineering and never looked back. How did that align itself and include itself with my experiences on the exchange program? Well, I had to learn things that as a young teenager, not many people in this country, certainly living at home, had to learn. Key planning, problem solving, independence, and innovation. Around the same sort of time that I started work, met my wife. Funny story, actually. We'd known the same sort of friendship group for a number of years. We lived around the corner from each other, however, never met. It was quite interesting. But nevertheless, watching partnerships, watching marriages, living in different households with men and women, husband and wives, and noticing how they interact, cooperate, communicate was an extremely good learning experience, and one that I remain with me for my time. I'm sure people can appreciate that if you live in a house with the same parents all your life as a child and as a teenager, or even with your grandparents, it can kind of be one-sided. You only get a certain view of how things are. Not saying that's right or wrong, but you don't get those opportunities for a different experience, and certainly a different experience in a different culture. Add to that things like a different type of spirituality, trust, and integrity that you either may not have or may be slightly different insofar as what you'd experienced at home. An example of that will be my wife. She grew up in quite a different home to me, a single parent family, low income family. And some of the values and some of the experiences she had were significantly different to mine. We were able to, by experience, reading, texts, a lot of counselling, with the Padres and learned to develop our partnership over time. To this day, we're coming up 22 years married with a couple of really great kids. And it just gets stronger and more constructed by the day. I often reflect and think about the experiences over in the United States, and had I not done that, what maybe things have been different here, but I'm very thankful for the experience. And I do believe it contributes to my partnership and my marriage today. Leadership means many things to many people. I've learnt it in a number of different ways, and business has different programs. Academics have different programs. Some people believe in it. I certainly do. The military has a lot of good training, and certainly in this country, the best training organisation in this country by far for leadership and development. But it takes a whole lot of special skills and special traits to become a good leader. I've had that opportunity over many years in all different avenues, whether it's in a training organisation for young people, through a cadet program, through a sporting association, or whether it's in a very high area of responsibility, such as working for the government or working overseas in high levels of government under such as a Senate or a high commission in another country. But those things don't just come to you. And certainly from an experience level, from being given the opportunity as a younger person to look within yourself, learn from other people around you, other people who are going through the same experience as you are, and keep in contact with those people, but look for to make yourself a better person every day. So just on that point, there was two people that from my hometown that both went on Rotary exchange programs before I did. One to Japan, actually quite a good friend of mine, a female girl, Nicole. And she came back from the program, and within a year, she hadn't spoken to people, and she didn't promote the program. And that was unfortunate. And I say that now because of the number of times I've spent in Japan with my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law and my nieces and nephews, and it's a great place. And the Japanese are very friendly people, and they're very honest people. And I spoke to her about 5 years ago, and she actually regretted her own attitude as to why she discarded her year of exchange in her program. We had a good chat about that, and she felt that she didn't put the most in and do as much as she could have done to get the best out of the program itself. Another girl, Kristen, a year younger than me, she went to Holland in 1991, and not dissimilar. She came back. She wasn't as motivated and as jovial in the program as I suppose what I would have expected. And within a few years, she'd fallen into a bit of an unsavory state of social being. I reached out to her, and again, she'd more not embrace the program, use the experience, and actually learn from the whole engagement and the peer group of people around her with the program. So why do I say that? I guess that's a couple of examples of people I knew at the time in the same town of the same age, but had really come away from the program with a different outlook to myself. Okay, as a parent, that's always a challenge. You're always every day wanting to educate, wanting to protect, wanting to coach, and making sure that you're doing the right things to bring up some great human beings the way you want them. And sometimes, what you want and what they want, or what you want for them, is not exactly what I want. I had great host families, gave me everything I needed, gave me more than the experience that I could have ever expected to have when I was over in the US. I learned about giving time to kids, even when you might not have it, giving time to them, and sitting down with them, talking with them in the car. What's interesting for them? What are they thinking about? How was their day? Those are things that I didn't really have before I'd gone on the program. It was pretty simply, you get up, you work, you go to school, you go to sport, you ride your bike. Maybe not so different to experience that some of you might have had as well in your upbringing, but certainly different in Arlington and in the Rotary program for me. And I reflect on that often. And you can see by some of the photos that I've put through this presentation, my kids get, every now and then my kids get the photos out and start asking me about who the people are and what I was doing and why I was doing that and when can they do that. So that's quite an interesting experience. I didn't have any great photos to put in this one, but volunteering is, I guess, one that I'm keen on, I continue to do. But for a moment, I just want to reflect on the Rotary program here, not the exchange program, but the Rotary International program, because I'm sure it's not as much aligned in its current stature as in the United States. So when I was about 30 years old, one of my friends from the military invited me to go to Rotary. And I went, and it was not a most welcoming opportunity, I must say. And so I didn't go to any further meetings, and I didn't pursue that opportunity. And about 3 years later, another friend of mine in a different branch of the military invited me to go to Rotary, different club, maybe another 10 miles away, and quite a similar experience. And I have family in the Rotary. My uncle is a Paul Harris Fellow. He's been in Rotary for nearly 50 years. And I talk to him quite, at least probably annually, about the program. And his club is now, if you could call it a club, is 4. It used to be 70. So why am I raising this? Our generations, our society, our devices, it could be an implication for the program itself in the exchange. If you don't have clubs, big enough clubs, enough hosts, enough volunteers, enough people doing the right things, it can be a challenge into the future. and add to that, that certainly in this country, the volunteers can't do a lot anymore. It's even with insurances, it is quite limited. So, Dave, I'll be interested to talk to you about what you see when you're out here in May, where 30, 40 years ago, Rotary clubs used to be extremely strong, a lot of people doing a lot of programs. It is certainly lesser now than what it used to be.
Hey, Lindon,
So,
we're enjoying this very much. Thank you. We're unfortunately limited to about 4 more minutes, so just wanted to give you a heads up, but you're doing wonderful. Thank you.
no problem. Look, I'll take about 10 seconds. Then my summary was really, it's an experience for life, a youth development opportunity, great corporate citizens come out of it. And that's not me, not only self-promotion, but people that I know have done it, that I've reached out to, kept in contact with, absolutely, and bringing benefit back to the community. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And with the remaining minutes, if people had some questions or things they wanted to ask me, please go ahead. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Questions in the room? Gene?
Lyndon, when you were staying with us, your brother took your bicycle and bent the wheel and you were gonna go home and kill him. Is he dead?
I'm not, did you have a microphone at that end? Because I didn't quite catch, Gene, everything you said.
Well, when you were with us, you learned that your brother had dented your bicycle wheel.
Oh, my brother and my bike. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I didn't kill him, but it quite ended up in a fairly bad altercation experience when we got home. Yes, that's correct.
You were one of our favorite shows. It was good to see you.
No, I'm just happy to see you, and you're such a grown-up man now.
Well, thanks, Gloria. Yeah, I don't look that different now to maybe what I did when I was 19. I stopped growing in height. I kind of got a bit larger and stronger, but yeah, pretty much the same. My body weight's varied maybe 1 or 2 kilograms since I was 19.
None of us are agreeing to that on personal experience. So that's wonderful. More questions for Linda before we adjourn? Where in Australia are you from?
Okay, so I live in a suburb now of Melbourne, about 18 kilometres to the southeast, right on the bay. My house is 300 yards from the beach, and my kids' schools are 500, 800 yards from our house. So I'm not a city guy at all. I get out of the city whenever I can, work, military, sport. So yeah, when my youngest son has finished school, we're going north. We're heading to Queensland, right up into the top where it's warm. There's a lot of open spaces. This city is growing way too fast, and especially with COVID, it's a difficult place to get around. Great city for some, but I don't enjoy the large cities.
All right, Linda, we want to thank you so much for giving some of your time this morning. We know it's early there, and you're fresh back from the swim practice, it sounds like, with your daughter. So we appreciate you giving us some of your time. It was very enjoyable to learn about your experience and what you've done since visiting here. So thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. Well, you guys enjoy your afternoon, Thursday afternoon. Yeah, I'm just going to head off to a morning meeting that I thought I'd get organised for 7 a.m. So yeah, stay safe, everybody. And if you're down in Australia sometime, please drop in. And yeah, go Cougars. Well done, Corey.
Thank you. Thank you, Gloria, for visiting. Thank you, Josh, right, sir, for visiting. Other Rick, we're good to see you.
So Lindon, I'm still planning on being there for the convention in the middle of May. This is Dave.
Oh yeah, Dave. Yeah, no problem.
Arriving, I think we arrive in Melbourne on the May 27th.
For sure.
Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. I look forward to spending a little bit of time with you if you got some available.